Hello, and thank you for stopping by in my space to watch this video. Today's video is going to be talking to you guys about some of the things that you need to do before you begin your therapy or your counselling. And if you haven't already watched the video I posted last week, what is the difference between counselling and therapy? There will be a link for it at the end of the video, so be sure to watch that and share with someone else who you think might be interested. So before you begin therapy, there's a lot of things that you have to do, but at the same time, I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to think that there's like a checklist of things that you must do in order for your therapy to go well. These are things that you just might want to keep in the back of your mind and do if you feel they are necessary to you and your situation. And I do apologise for my voice. I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, so hence the little croak in my throat sounding like a frog. But anyway, so the first thing you must do is ask your therapist questions. So asking questions, whether that's over the phone or face to face. Normally when you find the therapist that you want to work with, you normally speak to them over the phone first, and here you can ask as many questions as you want. Therapists, counsellors, we know that people won't know what to expect some of the time, so they will have so many questions, and any question is okay, any question is allowed. We are open-minded, we are expecting you to ask questions. We'd rather you ask questions because we know that this is not something that you do every day, something that you are used to or something that you are exposed to all the time. So ask any question that you have in your mind, whether it's cost, price, money, time, whatever it may be. And then obviously there are some things that your therapist or counsellor should explain to you in the process before you begin, and even throughout the process as well. Ask about their qualification, ask for their registration number, who they're accredited with, ask them about the costs, ask them, what kind of things you might expect. If you're interested in knowing what their therapeutic approach is, for example, it might be humanistic, it might be psychodynamic, it might be cognitive behavioural, it might be systemic. If you're not sure what that means, you can ask them, what's your therapeutic approach? What approach do you use? For example, I am doing integrative, meaning we're integrating different approaches, and therefore in my therapy I can apply different ones to my clients. I'm studying psychodynamic, humanistic and cognitive, I believe. I can't remember, but we do one in each year. So this year I'm focusing on humanistic. So you can ask them to explain what it means and how it works, and then you can go home and do extra research if you'd like. So that's one of the things you can ask. You can also ask them what they specialise in. Some therapists might specialise in grief counselling, some might specialise in anxiety and stress management. So you can ask them, if they specialise with the problem that you're coming with or the issue that you're facing. And also with costs, you ask them how much they charge. But some counsellors offer discounts for low income or people who are unemployed or people who are students. So be sure to ask how much they charge for maybe your special circumstance, and if they offer any kind of discount that might be viable to you. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Ask at the start, ask before, ask during, ask even anytime. Just ask questions. Your counsellor is there to help you and guide you through the whole experience, and don't be shy to ask anything. No question is out of bounds. If anything, your counsellor will probably go through with you some things like a verbal contract or a physical contract that you have to sign, and they'll explain things to you like boundaries and what they expect from you, and also go through what you can expect from them, and so on and so forth. Number 2, you need to be mentally and emotionally prepared for this experience. It might unravel some things that you were not expecting. Yeah? Expect the unexpected, let me put it that way, because you go into therapy probably wanting to talk about stress of work. Next thing you know, you're talking about your childhood and how your parents always worked and how that left you feeling like, that's all you had to do in life is work, work, work. And you're struggling to spend time with your family because that's how you were raised. So yeah, expect the unexpected. You might go in, normally what we talk about in our seminars is that a lot of the time people will come to you with this issue on the surface, and that issue, there's probably 1,000 layers below that they haven't thought of or haven't explored, and those issues are what is causing the surface issue right there and then. So when you come to therapy, be prepared to talk about what you are actually there for. Because one thing, it might be surprising to hear that some people will come to therapy and not talk about the reason why they're there. They'll bring up something else except the problem that they actually are there for, and they will cover it up with something else. They'll refuse and skirt around the issue. They'll beat around the bush about what they actually need help with because they're not ready to talk about it, which is understandable. Not everyone is going to be ready to, you know, open up and spill their guts to a stranger they've just met, but it would help you and your therapist a lot if you would just come ready to share what is actually going on and what is actually bothering you. It will save you a lot of time and money, unless you're happy to, you know, waste 5 sessions just talking about your everyday life and not what's actually on your heart. So that's your choice, but try and go when you're ready to actually speak and share what's on your mind. I'm not saying you have to go there and sit and be like, okay, I'm here to talk about this and this and this and this. You might get there and realize that you're struggling to speak or you can't get your words out. That's fine. As therapists, we understand that that's going to happen. We understand that, you know, not everything is going to be easy to talk about, and it's fine if you sit there for 10 minutes. Some people come and sit in a session for 45 minutes and don't talk. I think one of my lecturers explained that she had a client who would come in just to sit in silence with her, and for her that was enough, that was therapeutic, that's what she wanted and that's what she needed, and it worked for her. And those sessions to her sitting in silence was what she needed. So it's not like you have to come and literally just spill everything, but come with the mindset that, okay, I've got this problem and I'm going to just air it out eventually. Like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to beat around the bush and talk about A, B, C, D and this and that, except the actual issue at hand. The third thing that you need to think about before therapy is creating time. So obviously your sessions are going to be booked in 15 minutes hour, which I'll probably talk about in another video. Therapy sessions are 50 minutes. And I think I forgot to mention that your first session will actually be half an hour because it's a consultation to kind of see the chemistry between you and your therapist and see if you like each other, if you get on, if you're happy to kind of continue and start that agreement, start the contract. But anyway, back to creating time. When I say this, I mean that you'll have your 1 hour booked with your therapist, but at the same time, you need time outside of therapy to think about what you've been dealing with in therapy. You need to take time out to think about what you've experienced, what you've thought, what you've talked about, and how you're feeling. You need to process the emotions that you felt, because some sessions will leave you heavy, some sessions will leave you on top of the world, but either way you need time to process that and apply what you've learned. So this might include, you know, taking time out to journal what you've experienced in your session. If you don't feel like journaling, you can just record what you felt, what you've processed from the session. So you need time to just simply reflect, however reflection looks like for you, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's talking to your significant other or a friend, or just journaling, whatever it looks like to you. Have time outside of your therapy, and sometimes you might need to make time to do homework. Sometimes my therapist gives me homework to do outside of the session because it's for my benefit. And depending on the homework, most of the time you might not even need to bring it back to show them. They might not even ask if you've done the homework. My therapist sometimes doesn't even ask if I've done it, but he tells me to do it for my own benefit, and if I don't carve out that time to do that homework, then it's my loss. I think if you're given homework, try your best to do it, because there was one homework that he did give me, and I kid you not, it exposed me to so much, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, whoa. And I told him, and he was like, it's good to hear that you've done the homework, but I'm not gonna check it, you know. And so let that be something that you consider, like making time for that. There's a reason why you have 1 week between each therapy session. It's to give you time to reflect and to process what you're going through. So there was a client who would come to therapy, and as soon as therapy finished, she'd go into a meeting, another meeting, and then during the week she'd be busy with meetings and her family. And after months and months of therapy, she said, you know, this is not working, why is it not working? And it's literally not the fault of the therapist, but the client herself was not making time to reflect on anything after the session. As soon as the session finished, her mind was off the therapy, forgotten, and then on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And that's where you have to realize the importance of reflecting on your session after it's done, because it's not the 1 hour that's going to make the difference. It's the time between the weeks. It's the time between each session that's going to make the difference in your life. So obviously I think one of the biggest things to consider before therapy is cost. Most of us know that therapy is quite expensive, and in the UK the NHS has a high demand and low resources. There's not enough counsellors, there's not enough resources for everybody to get the therapy that they need. So I know that it can be very, very demanding. It's easier through private practice because you can be seen straight away and for as long as you want, whereas with like the NHS and some other charities you'll normally have limited amount of sessions. However, there are free services out there, which I will do a video on free services and free therapies that you can access in the UK, and if I can, and if you guys want me to, I can, include other countries as well. But I know that in the UK there are free services which I've also used myself in the past before. So I know that therapy is costly, but don't let that be something that holds you back from, looking for free services, because, and like I said in the earlier point, that you can ask the therapist if they can give you a discount. If you earn below a certain income, you are eligible for that discount with some therapists. So look around, don't give up. Another thing is that you might want to tell certain people that you've started therapy, simply because they might be able to support you. You might need someone to understand what you're going through, and you might not want to feel alone in it. And for some people, go to therapy, they feel ashamed and they feel like, oh, I might be seen as crazy, or I might be seen as weak, and I might be seen as, whatever. But you might want to tell someone so that, when you are going to your appointments, you're not having to lie and be secretive about, oh, I'm just going out to run errands, meanwhile you're going to therapy. I'm not saying you have to. Like I said, all of these points are suggestive things to keep in the back of your head before you start therapy. Telling someone can just help you to have someone who will maybe even keep you accountable, maybe just be a place where you can, someone who can help you to reflect on what you're going through. Especially, for example, if you're, let's say, in a relationship and you're going to therapy by yourself, but the issue is with your relationship, you might want to go home to your partner and explain that, okay, in therapy I learned A, B, C, D, and I spoke about this, and it helped me to understand this and that and that, and that might be something that you might want to do. So, tell people who you feel like will support you. And, sometimes when changes start happening in therapy, people around you might not understand why it's happening. But if you tell them that you're going to therapy, hopefully they'll be supportive and understanding. And know that this is not easy for everyone. Some people's families would be, laugh at them. Some people's families or friends would mock them for going to therapy. So I'm not saying you have to, it's not a must. But if you feel like this is something that's terrifying for you, maybe you need someone to even take you to therapy, drive you there, or whatever, to just wait outside the waiting room for you, that might be the moral support that you need to even begin your journey. So keep that in mind as well. So number 6, you might want to see different therapists before you begin like your long journey with one therapist. What I mean by this is maybe go to like 2 or 3 therapists for the first 30-minute consultation, and out of those 3 or 2, see which one you get on with the most, see which one you get on with the most, see which one you like the most, see which one you have a connection and a good vibe with, someone you feel comfortable with. 30 minutes is not a lot, but you can, some people's personalities are so strong that they stand out, and in a few minutes you'd know that this is a therapist I like and this is a therapist I don't like. So I would highly recommend, if you can, especially if the 30-minute consultation is free, definitely go ahead. Obviously you don't want to pay for like 3 different 30-minute sessions, but if it's free, I'd recommend you do that, because I promise you, you are not stuck with one therapist forever and ever. You can change therapist if you go 2 sessions, you realize I don't want them, or they say something to you that throws you off and you no longer want them to be your therapist. You can always find another therapist whenever you want, so you're not stuck with them. Even if you sign the contract, one thing your therapist will let you know, you are free to leave therapy anytime you want, even mid-session, whenever, okay? But all I'm saying is I think it'll be good for you to try different therapists if you're not sure, because even if someone comes highly recommended, they might not be for you. They might remind you of someone, they might be transference going on, they might cost too much, you might have a personality clash, you never know. So do what works for you. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to mention is consider your goals for therapy. Not everyone goes to therapy knowing what goals they have or what they want to get out of therapy or what they want to achieve. Some people just go and they figure it out as they go along, and that's totally fine. Like I said, as therapists we expect that. we expect some people to know exactly why they're in therapy. Some people come and they say, I don't really know, I just know that I've got anxiety, and then they don't know where to go from there. And that's something to just consider. It makes it a bit easier, and it makes it a bit more guided, because then you know exactly what you're looking for, and it can help your therapist to guide you in the right way. But of course, sometimes, like I said, you literally might not even know what a specific goal you have for therapy is. But if you have long-term therapy, which is like months to years of therapy, you might, it's better for you to set a goal, because then you can review those goals as you go along. And if you want to change your goals, or you realize that this is no longer a goal, you can always change them as you go along. But it helps a lot to have a goal. And if you don't have a goal, that's totally fine. As you speak to your therapist, you can talk about it later on, and they can help you, collaborate with you to come up with a goal that you see as suitable and that fits you. It's not a must. Some therapists might not even ask if you have a goal. They might ask you what you want to get out of therapy, which is not exactly the same as a goal, but it's up to you at the end of the day if you have a goal or not. They will not force you to create a goal if you don't have one. You can go with the flow as much as you want. So that brings me to the end of this video. There are lots and lots of other things to consider before therapy, but I don't want you to overthink it. If you need to do therapy and you've been thinking about it for a long time, let this video be a sign that you should go get therapy. Just do it. Don't overthink it. Try 1 session, 2 sessions, see if you like it. If you don't, then you can say, okay, I tried it and I wasn't ready, or maybe it's not the time for me to do it right now, but just give it a try anyway and see what happens. There's so many other things to think about before you begin therapy, you know, and during therapy and after therapy. I hope this video helps you guys, and enjoy the bloopers. If you want me to keep them, let me know. If you don't, let me know in the comment section below. Enjoy. You need to take time out to talk about, because it's then easier to go to private practice, because then you can be seen straight away. And pardon me. Okay guys, thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video, and I will see you next week with another video. Follow me on my socials, Instagram and Twitter. I will see you guys next week. Bye.